Okay, welcome to a lesson on concession and contrast. Now we looked at although and though and even though, and we even had a quick look at while in the previous class. And I want you to remember that although, though and even though, generally speaking, they're very often seen followed by a clause, a whole clause, because they are subordinating conjunctions. So is while, when, although, so is whereas. So is much as, and what this means is it's followed by a clause. Yeah, these subordinating conjunctions are followed by clauses. In spite of and despite are not subordinating conjunctions. They are prepositions. What does preposition mean? Well, it's a word that sets up a relationship to a noun, and so that's how they're different from subordinating conjunctions. Subordinating conjunctions join a subclause to a main clause. And so you always see although and then subject and verb, or not always. We saw that in the last class as well. Not always, but a lot of the time you see a whole clause after a subordinating conjunction. With a preposition, you just see a noun. So you might have a pronoun, you might have a noun phrase, you might have a gerund, which is a verb with ing on the end, doing, having, playing, going, because that is the verb functioning as a noun. That's what gerund means. It means verb functioning as a noun. And so that's one more thing you can have. And you can also have despite the fact that, and then it turns into a subordinating conjunction and you can add a clause. Let's see what I mean. So you can say, in spite of all this, I managed to get there on time. Yeah, maybe you had loads of problems on a journey, but in spite of all those problems, yeah, in spite of all this, you managed to get there on time. So you can use a pronoun. You can say, in spite of the weather, despite the weather, we had a lovely picnic. Yeah, maybe it was raining, but you still had a lovely picnic. So despite the weather, we had a lovely picnic. You can use a gerund. So we saw this in the last class. I told you that although having a car sounds wrong to me, I've seen it several times now on the internet and it's starting to make me think maybe I'm wrong. But I really don't like the sound of subordinating conjunction plus stative verb in a reduced clause. I don't like although having a car. It sounds wrong to me. So does when having a car. So does while having a car. If you're using it after the while to join it onto the main clause. So in my opinion, you need to swap although having a car for despite having a car, I walked. Yeah, and it's because you can't say although I was having a car. And that's why you can't reduce it to although having a car. In my opinion, anyway. I don't mind preposition plus stative verb because that sounds fine to me. Despite having a car sounds fine. Despite having a car, I walked. That sounds good to me. Although having a car sounds completely wrong. But I do see many websites claiming that that's okay. But I don't hear people speak like that. Okay, so we can also say despite the fact that I had a car, because that's a whole clause. Despite the fact that I had a car, I walked. Yeah, that would work as well. Now, while can mean at least three different things. Number one, time. It's when two things are happening at the same time. So I walked home, past simple, while it was snowing, past continuous. You very often see when it's with time, past simple, past continuous. Yeah, something like he popped round to see me while I was watching television, or he called me while I was watching television, anything like that. Now, it can also show contrast. We saw in the last class that it shows concession, but we said that this was when it was in the front position. The while must be at the front to show concession, like although. So something like, while he has worked hard the whole year, unfortunately, he failed the exam. Something like that. And concession is where you admit that something is the case and compare it to something else. Very often positive and negative are compared in concession. Although I was sad, I still decided to go to the birthday party. Yeah. While I was sad, I still decided to go to the birthday party.